Hello, folks. PTG, Proxy Table Gaming, Lucky Sixes, and Hyper G. Hello.
Peace.
Peace out, bro. So, we have been embroiled in a bitter campaign of death and war and taxes and gold. And
Mainly gold.
mainly gold. And it continues in a third battle in the campaign.
Yes. Yeah. We got
Um,
sort of been doing it a while. If you haven't seen it, go check out the previous videos. But
yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting one for have, and we have got another not a real army. Oh,
Yeah. Legacy army. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
vampires. We've not seen them before. Well, I'd seen them in a battle with Beard a few weeks ago,
yeah.
but not between you and I. So interested to see what would happen. And this one,
Yeah.
being part of our Origins of War campaign, we both chose a list to pick, didn't we?
We
And then we
did. Yeah.
randomly rolled to see who would control which army, which is as much motivation as you need to not tailor a
Yeah.
list.
Absolutely.
Not that we did anyway, because I think we were pretty much picking lists at the same time, weren't we, without knowing what
Yeah.
each other would pick. Um,
And
but
also as well, like we're aiming to be quite fluffy list to try and see all the
hmm,
units in the minute because it's still a relatively new game. So
yeah,
it's nice to see what all the units do and how they work together. And
yeah,
first up was the Kingdom of Bretonnia, and it was led by a Baron, which is
yes,
an odd one.
new one.
That was a one that we rolled out, and the first
Mm.
uh, battle from that point of view. So, being a baron, we thought he was very peasantry uh, heavy. So, essentially, is a peasants list with some grails.
Yeah,
In a
yeah,
nutshell, of everything really. But he's got Baron von Baron is the Baron.
of
Shock horror,
course.
and he's got a brother called Aaron von Baron, who's a paladin.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
prophetess is Syrienne, and that's because Baron von Baron has Syrienne's locket.
of
So
course.
that's
Well, I
it's
see what you did there. Yeah, very good.
clearly a thing there. Obviously, as well,
Yeah,
a bit of a caveat: both of these lists are only allowed items from their own book. They're not
yes,
allowed
they are.
items from the
Rule book,
rulebook itself because
big blue
that's
book.
part of our campaign to get them out.
Yeah, they have to find them first, don't they, if they want them?
They do. They do.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we've got two sergeants at arms, knights of the realm on foot,
Mm.
which that needed a better name, I'm afraid. GW. That's
Yeah.
very hit the nose on the. Anyway, some a unit of men at arms, a unit of battle pilgrims with a Grail relic, as well. Some squires, and then of course, as we said, the Grail knights there. I think this one has, in terms of items, has a few from the Arcane Journal as well. But looking at the items that they do
Right.
have,
Okay.
yeah. So the Baron von Baron is the Grail Val, so that he can go with the Grail Knights
Yeah.
if needed. He's got the Gromril Great Helm, which I'm frantically trying to look up
Well, I'll try and
as
help
we
you out, shall I,
speak.
rather than just let you do all the work. Considering I actually picked this list, you'd think I'd just have it all to hand and
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. So the
But
Gromril Great
yeah, that's
Realm
never the
is
case.
adds one to his armor value, and you can re-roll natural ones, which is quite a nice
Mm.
one there.
Yeah.
Syrian's Locket is for infantry or cavalry, immune to multiple wounds, which you see quite a lot around here in some regard, whether it be
I
killing
think you
blow
have to have it if you
or
respect
everything.
the life of your very killy stuff. You have to have some sort of defense against killing blow, really, because it can very much end the day of anyone who's
Yeah.
worth half their salt, really. So yeah,
Yeah, so he's basically got two up armor with one rerolling ones, and then he's got multiple wounds immunity, as well as having the virtue of the penitent
Mm.
on him as well, which is
is that the one
unbreakable.
that he has to be? Yeah, unbreakable, but he has to be deployed on his own. I think.
Yes, Yes, that's correct. So that was
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah. And I've been trying to help you out, but looking forward by looking at the prior icon of Quenelles, which is on the prophetess, and that is that she increases her dispel range by 3 inches. And when she's attempting to dispel a hex, she gets a +1 modifier to her dispel roll,
Yeah.
which is +5 dispelling hexes, which is quite cool.
Yeah, then the last thing on there is Aaron von Baron, who has Virtue of Purity, which is to 5 war save all the time. So
Sure.
there you go. So again, they're not overly kitted out, but worth taking a look.
Yeah,
There.
and this is a 3 infantry block list again, which
It is, with the
know,
knights
I
as
did
well.
that for the dwarves, but yeah, they've got knights as well to help them out. So that's cool.
Yeah, we're pretty cool, but yes, but it is infantry heavy. Vampire counts, and we have Toby, the half zombie master necromancer, who is our own personal favorite from the vampire counts. He's level 4 necromancy and has Crown of the Damned, which I think is a 4-up ward, but he's stupid.
Stupid
but
Toby.
yeah, it's either ward or
well, he is only a
fortune,
half zombie, so he's got to have some zombie traits.
Exactly.
That's the zombie side of him.
He is paired up with 4 Cairn Wraiths, 2 Banshees, 2 units of 35 skeletons, 2 units of zombies, 2 units of 3 Fellbats, 3 units of Spirit Hose, 3 Spirit Hose, and 2 units of 6 Hex Wraith. Essentially,
Can you get the theme?
It's the ghost and non-vampire vampire list. So we shall
cool.
see. So cool. Don't call the Ghostbusters, please.
No, there's a lot of ward saves going around.
Yes, there is. Yeah. Or just it's Ethereal, right? Yeah. So just you exactly. Can't touch them without magic in magic. So, Battle of Matoria is a Bretonnian arcane journal for those who want an in-depth look. Pause and take a look. But essentially, it's defending a defensible position on a hill, and the attackers come to get it. You get essentially you get extra victory points at the end if the defender only has defenders on there, and from the attacker's point of view, they get some if they've got some of themselves on there as well. But go take a look for some more. And this is my deployment.
Had a little bit of extra in that they didn't get to deploy everything to start with, did they?
No, they had to leave some in reserve, and they had to come on from the right side, I think. We're looking at.
So I think you chose, didn't you? Yeah. Or did we roll it? I can't remember.
We had to choose at some point, and that right side was where we did it. Now, obviously, otherwise we're quite low on units, really. And it's a bit scary from that point of view, but we do have the Grail Relic unit. That's what the Men at Arms with I think the BSB in there, but I can't remember. Then we've got the Lord on his own, the Priestess on her own, and the Men at Arms. There.
Yes, Men at Arms. Yeah, because the ones that weren't on were the Knights of the Realm on foot. And the Grail Knights. Because you actually chose that, didn't you? You chose what would be your reinforcement.
Yes, we chose it for fluff reasons, really, in that the Grail and the Knights were a bit less peasantry and were coming to save the day. And we just need them to come on and save the day.
Well, yeah, because I suppose you could have deployed a bit nearer the board edge, could you? But you obviously needed to defend that middle obstacle, that middle hill, which we created on Warhol with the various terrain pieces that are available.
Yeah.
So really, you didn't want to abandon that so that you could get easy
not quite
reinforcements. So it was a catch-22 really. Do you defend that central thing, or do you get your army together quicker?
Yeah. So really interesting. But these were the guys left off. However, obviously there were lots of things on the table for the vampires.
Yeah. So going left to right, I'll try and remember what everything is. You got 2 units of Spirit Hosts behind a Hex Wraith unit, just blocked off by the forest on the left. Yeah. You got some Fellbats behind a unit of zombies. I think zombies. Yeah. 2 units of skeletons in the middle, in behind another Hex Wraith unit. You got two now. I can't quite see which is which in terms of Khan race and Banshees, but we'll figure it out as we go. But yeah,
Yes.
you've got a line of 6 single characters, which are the combination of Cairn
Yeah.
race and
I think you
Banshees.
go 2 Cairn
Um,
Wraiths, 2 Banshees, 2 Cairn
I
Wraiths,
think
I
so.
think.
Yeah, I think so. And there's some Fellbats in and behind them with the spirit hosts on the front lines with them. And
Yep.
Toby himself is with the zombies, which is just behind the.
His fellow brethren.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's really cool. Really
Yeah.
cool army.
Yeah, it was a really good thing. We really liked the idea of it, and
mm,
yeah, and then we moved on. Oh, we're going backwards.
mm.
Moved on to turn 1, and of course, the first thing for vampires to do is
Raise.
to raise some more zombies, raise some friends.
That,
He's just
yeah,
looking for
it happens
friends,
in the
is
command
Toby.
phase.
Just looking for
Exactly. And
friends.
yeah, the attacking army, which was the vampire counts, they got the first turn automatically as per the scenario. Um, so I think again that meant that the Bretonnians didn't get their
Yeah,
prayer,
yeah,
because any scenario where you have one army gets a turn automatically, that means the Bretonnian player doesn't get a choice to pray, and so again they were without that ward save for the second battle in a row for
yeah.
the Bretonnians.
The ambush scenarios do really
Mm,
hinder the Bretonnians. Have a
yeah,
look in that regard.
yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to see.
Mm.
You got Van Helsdale's Bacabra off on this
Yeah,
unit to
a
allow them to go a bit faster.
tiny movement, tiny movement. Yeah, I think it was not too much else that it can do at this stage of the battle. It does some combaty buffs as well,
Yeah.
but for this time only, it was a movement thing.
But of course, the main reason for that is you can't march unless you fly.
Indeed,
So,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
the majority of this army.
yeah. So a slow advance, really.
Yeah.
Spectral Steed cast on one of the Khan wraiths to basically give him fly and a lot more movement,
Yeah.
so you could get forward a bit more. That might be a Banshee, actually, looking at the model.
Yeah, I think it was a Banshee.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, and you see he's catapulted all the way onto the right-hand side. I think I've also cast, what's my other one? Is it Curse of Years? The template?
No, because I think I don't know. I think it's Spiritual Vortex.
Vortex. Okay, yeah. Which
Yeah.
I think does a minus to leadership
Yes.
within range or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah, so
and
decent.
also dangerous terrain. Yeah. But otherwise, it's very much an advance forward. You can see, like, I think the Hex Wraiths have got the ability to march with a vanguard, or they've got
Sure.
a reserve move, basically,
Yeah, the
something
Spirit
like
Hosts
that.
certainly do, I think, as well.
Yeah, there's something that allows them to move quicker. The Fellbats obviously fly, so they can move quicker.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the infantry is just shuffling forwards. The character with the spectral steed obviously heads over towards the area where you're going to get your reinforcements, and it's around this time where we start looking at that reinforcement role, don't we? We'll hold off talking about it just yet, but there's something that we think is a little quirky. We'll reveal that shortly. But yeah. The Bretonnians are already getting surrounded. And this is actually your movement, isn't it?
This is my movement. So I literally just moved back very, very tentatively with the infantry. The scouts come in front to, I don't know, shoot something maybe. I'm not sure. But the main thing here is the one of the two horses. The prophetess is the one looking left. Because she has some magic missiles from battle magic
on the helm,
so is looking to go that away with those. I think Oakenshield OS is the ward save, the 5 ward save.
Sure.
So which obviously in this battle was very useful because I couldn't really
didn't get it from the prayer. Yeah.
I don't think I've moved the Lord just yet. So I think I'm just about to move him because otherwise it's a bit silly. And as you can see, I get this off and go through there. That's whatever the fire burning gaze.
I think so. Yeah.
And I get a couple off, and in the second turn, on the next turn, you aren't able to dispel it, and it moves this way and gets some of your Fellbats as well. So good work, burning gaze.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was always what was going to damage my Ethereal units' magic. So yeah, pretty good.
back onto your turn, and the more friends for Toby.
More friends for Toby.
He's a
Absolutely, yeah.
sociable zombie.
Indeed. Yeah, he embraces that non-half zombie side of him by raising more of them. Yeah, and again, it's a similar story in terms of the advance. Really, it's just moving the infantry as far forward as you can. You can see the unit that's got forward is the one that deployed on the deployment line and had Van Hel's, so that's
Yeah.
why it's slightly ahead of the others. But it is a slow advance, and I'm thinking to myself, well, it's all very well that I'm trying to get to the Bretonnian line early, just before they get reinforcements, but I might not get there like for another
Yeah.
2 or 3 turns, and that's an issue. And so, especially now, well, I'll talk about the flanking forces really. The spirit hosts are making their way up, and that being the prophetess meant that they didn't need to necessarily keep back. If that had been the Baron on the left, then as we're looking at it, then that might have been a reason for the spirit host to just hang back.
Yeah.
The hex wraiths, they move through the building because they can with their etherealness, but they have to finish through the building, and that didn't give them a lot of scope to actually wheel round
Yeah.
afterwards. So they had to move through it and go pretty much straight forward, which doesn't leave them in a great position for charging purposes. They'll need another turn to do that, but it also does create a problem for you in your flank. Similarly, the bats on the other side are trying to do a similar job, although obviously they're not that killy. So, is that much of a problem for you? We'll see. But yeah, we very much looked at what would happen with your reinforcements. I think it's either next turn or the turn after.
Yeah.
Is it next turn, possibly? And there's basically a rule that you have to deploy on that board edge, and it has to be 6 inches away from any enemy model.
I think it's 8.
Is it 8?
I think it's 8.
Okay. And
From
we
memory.
read that, and we both just looked at each other virtually on Warhol. We were like, hang on a minute. The vampire counts have got like loads of single model characters. If you have to be more than 8 inches away from them, and if I had spread them out along that board edge, the reinforcements can't come on.
Yeah.
And I could have actually stopped half of the Bretonnians from coming on at all
Physically entering
by just spreading out 3 or 4 of those single characters. So for the sake of like 200 points, I could have stopped the entire reinforcement.
It's 72 like that, isn't it? So 48 inches, right? So if it might be 6, but if it's, let's say 8, let's stick with 8. Then
you need 3 characters to do it.
It's 8 on each side, so it's effectively a 16-inch range of like that. So putting 2 on there, that's 32. 40, as I say, put 3 there, and you're done for the game.
Exactly, yeah. And we did kind of realize this during my turn 1-ish, but it was obviously after deployment, certainly not at deployment, because if I could have deployed literally with one of those in the right place to stop you. And then if I'd have continued with that ilk and just moved forward and stopped you deploying even further, then it could have been, this is what you get for Bretonnia.
Lights out, yeah.
So, yeah, crazy.
But wasn't to be.
We came to a sort of kind of agreement that I hadn't planned it from the start, and B, we didn't hugely like that when we were doing it for a fluffy game. Now, if it had been an ultra competitive game, I can see there might be a little bit of an issue.
I see you at a tournament
scenario.
And you don't do it, I'll be very upset.
And now that we've told everyone about it, you need to just take 3 50-point characters and stop that from happening.
I can't imagine this would be in a tournament, but if it is, you've now got the go ahead on that. But it's an interesting one, and it's a bit like the ambush mechanics in that you can't do within 8 and you can't march and things like that. So it's an interesting little thing. I think there might be some even more in-depth things you can do, but that's what we did, and we did leave a gap. Now, to be fair, you didn't leave a complete gap. There was you did shuffle of.
I did a half job.
Yeah.
I did a half job to filter in that you'd have to be quite a way away from the rest of your army. Yeah. So there was some element of gaminess to that.
Yeah. So as you can see from this is Yeah, this is after reserve move as well, where your spirit
Yeah,
hosts
yeah, yeah.
come up and move like that.
Mhm.
We get a separate thing for a reserve move, right?
Yeah.
And then we go on to my turn, and we'll see where they turn up in a minute. Otherwise,
Mm.
I'm not sure what COCF is in the Battle Magic, but
Curse
it's a
of something. I'm
yeah,
gonna guess.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
do anything that regard, and then we move around like so. And as you can see from the movement picture, you can see where our guys were actually allowed to come on. You can't march, so my Bretonnian Grail Knights right at the top corner weren't able to go there. I think it's 18 inches maybe, or 16 inches they march, so they only able to move on. Similarly with the Knights of the Knights of the Realm, 25
Hmm.
of them. Um, but yeah, so that was the closest they could get, and the ghosts they clearly don't like ghosts because
Well, yeah.
that's what's going on.
Who does?
Uh, yeah, but otherwise, on that hill, my men at arms shuffle around to the right to see the oncoming bats, and my general just kind of sits there on that hill, just looking at doesn't want those zombies and skeletons coming too close, and thinks he can take them otherwise.
Yeah.
The sorceress, the prophetess comes right
Yes.
round the back, so they can't get charged easily, but also can see those. Um,
X-rays.
Hex Wraith. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. COCF is Curse of Cowardly Flight, which is especially interesting because it makes even a unit that can't normally take a panic test
Yes.
give ground, move off, which is really, really cool because you're normally when you're playing undead, like one of the benefits, sometimes, but mostly benefits, is that you won't flee or anything like that. But
Yeah,
Curse of Cowardly Flight sort of bypasses that. But
absolutely.
in this scenario, managed to not, it didn't get through.
Yeah.
But you do miscast or
I
something.
do. Trying to
Yeah.
cast Oaken Shield for that sweet, sweet 5-up ward.
Mm.
I do a wound to myself.
Yeah.
Cheers, the lady. But thankfully she
She's on
perks herself
vacation for
up.
this one.
Yeah.
Mm.
She perks herself up right away and does a fireball into the X-ray,
Mm.
killing another two. I think there
I
was,
think it was two.
four
Yeah.
there.
I think I remember that we weren't overly impressed by this one. We felt like that was the hex rate's done, and then it didn't kill
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I know it was a bit like, oh, they're still alive. Well, that's
Mm.
surprising. Um,
Well, the stuff about they're taking a
yeah.
vortex and a fireballs, and I've done 4 wounds, so these guys are
Mm.
tough nuts to crack.
Yeah.
Um,
Considering.
Moving on to your turn, though, you take a charge, the first charge of the
I
game.
do. I do. I mean, I didn't necessarily think that the Spirit Host could win this on their own, but with a good ward save and the fact that you couldn't actually attack me back, I
Yes.
think did one of your did your champion? Did I do my classic champion has a magic weapon issue? Now I can't remember if I did or not. But
Don't think so. I didn't use
I
it if I
don't
did.
know. No, possibly not. But yeah, I think with this one it was a case of you can't hurt me. All I've
Yeah.
got to do is do enough wounds to win combat res, and we'll be there forever.
Yeah, it was
And
static
especially because the
versus
yeah Baron von Baron wasn't looking in the right direction. So
no
yeah,
counter
give it a
charges or
go.
anything. Yeah.
Oh, in fact, this is against the Battle Pilgrim, isn't it? So they don't have a champion to give any special weapon to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Mm.
there you go. In other news, this is the movement. You've really encircled me at the bottom.
Mm. Yeah. The bats flew over because they basically figured that they needed to target the prophetess because especially as she'd taken a wound, they could smell blood, and they wanted a piece of that pie. Similarly, the spirit hosts they were just far enough away from the men at arms that they couldn't declare a guaranteed charge, so they just moved up to make sure, or maybe even they couldn't declare a charge at all. What with Old World not being quite as far.
Yeah.
But they just moved up almost to guarantee a charge next time, or that if you charge, then it would bring the hex rate more chance of getting a charge off. So that was the idea there. Still, I got Spectral Steed off on one of my characters in the middle again, and that was with the hope that it would chaff Baron von Baron. But we had a long discussion at this point, didn't we, about single characters on mounts and how they can like weave around things and all
Well,
sorts. And
they
it seems
become
really hard to
skirmishers,
chaff.
don't they?
Yeah.
Is the issue. So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so if they have enough movement to get all the way around, then they can just bypass anything chaffing them, which is really
Well,
crazy.
if you're a skirmisher, you've got 360 line of sight. So it's hard to really
Mm.
add a wheeling mechanic to 360 line of sight.
Yeah, yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. You see, as the Knights of the Realm on foot are coming in, we've got 4 characters waiting to scream, stroke, ethereal them.
Yeah.
And the bats are also just looking to keep the Grail Knights busy for a little bit. And it will be a very little bit.
Speed bump.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Over here,
going
this
in.
this was interesting because yeah, the ward save doesn't actually work if you don't pass them. Well, no, actually, I don't think it was that. You couldn't actually attack me at all, could you?
No, I couldn't do anything.
No,
It's
no, no, yeah,
you only do 3 wounds, maybe
yes, didn't
two.
do many,
You do
and I
two
think
wounds with all your attacks.
yeah, not very many wounds at all, and that meant that I did actually lose combat res and took some wounds.
Yeah.
So not quite the glorified I'm going to hold you there and kill you slowly that I was expecting, really, because I took more wounds than you did, or there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so could have been better on the spirit hosts. But I've got another spirit host unit coming up, so
You have, yeah,
there
for
is
the
that.
future. So we'll see about that. So you give ground, and I actually choose not to
Mm.
go straight after you.
Mm.
And I have these charges. So my scouting skirmishers, the peasants, go after your Velbats.
Yep.
The Lord goes, Baron von Baron goes into the side of your spirit hosts while
Yeah,
my
because he can
unit
see them.
continues, and he
Mm.
has a magical weapon. I think also is
Yes, he does.
another
Choppy,
thing.
choppy.
Yeah, so he'll go in with the combat res and hope that he can mop up there. The the scouts are purely just saving the prophetess. Really, they don't expect to
Yeah.
kill the bats, but at the same time they don't expect to lose, so to speak
Yeah.
as well. So we'll see how that goes. The men at arms I don't think have as much combat res as the Grail Relic unit, so they simply
Look at
I
the
think
spirit house.
they simply just stay where they are and look at them there.
Yeah.
The prophetess stays where she is as well, for the most part, just shuffling down ever so slightly. And as you can see, this is everything all told after movement.
Mm.
At the top, the Knights of the Realm on foot just move up as much as they can. Try and keep as many of your ghosts in the front as possible, so you're
Yeah.
not getting too much in the way of combat res. And the Grail Knights gladly go over the speed bump, but they are not going 20 miles an hour, my friend. They are
No,
they are not abiding by that speed
definitely not. No,
limit.
they're going to use them
They
to
are.
catapult forwards, no doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Over here we get another fireball and
There's fireball.
vortex.
I think the fire we might use the fire as the fireball. Actually,
Oh, okay,
to
sure.
be fair,
And
yeah.
yeah, and the slow slog continues as
Mm.
I think only one does it.
Yeah.
There, from what I remember. Over here, as we say, the Grail Knights, you simply use it. It's a bit, when you're in a mosh pit and you just use someone to then go the other way.
Yeah.
That's what they're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. Oh, did the bats kill one? I think they killed one, didn't they? One of the Grail Knights.
I don't think so. I have 9 plus a
There's no
paladin.
character. There's no character in there. Paladin's on foot.
So yeah, so that's 9, isn't it?
Did you have 9 to start with? I thought I would have
Yeah,
10.
I
No,
don't have
I
10.
was at
Yeah,
9.
start with 9.
Oh, okay, fair
So,
enough. All right, fair enough. Yeah.
over here, this
The
is
scouts, the squires, and the bats have a little skirmish, don't they?
yeah,
And I think it was one apiece after combat res.
it was.
There wasn't a lot of outage with that one. But
Yeah, so we
your
stick to where we are.
Baron helps to beat up the spirit hosts with the help of the battle pilgrims, doesn't he? Obviously, that's combat res as well as the Baron coming in on the flank.
Yeah,
So a
so looking good
good outcome
from that
there.
point of view. Yeah, Knights are doing really well. But obviously the big battle's yet to come, and
Yes.
it might come now.
Yeah, there was a lot going on now. It was a case of like, okay, so I was bouncing in a lot of places, So I just need to get everything in and start chipping away, really, because
Yeah.
I have got 40, 80 plus infantry bodies to join this
There's
fight.
bodies there, yeah.
They're all there, but I can't get them quick enough. And the ethereal stuff is getting weaker, really. So made a few charges here and there. Charged the chaffing arm wraith that you sidestepped with your baron into the back of the squires to help out the
Yeah.
bats. The spirit hosts have another go on the battle pilgrims. A unit of skeletons charges the flank of Baron von Baron. The single spirit host ignores Baron von Baron and goes into the flank of the battle pilgrims. So many charges. The hex wraiths charged into the men at arms, as did the spirit hosts that they'd just been ignored. And yeah, it was all a case of let's go, boys.
Let's go. And this is what it
Yeah.
looks like. After all's told, the only thing, I think you took back the single spirit host thing, but the hex race weren't able to actually get in because of movement, because of the roll. I mean,
yeah, there just wasn't enough movement to move the spirit host to the side to allow the hex race to complete the charge. But it wasn't a disaster because I mean, obviously you just ignored them for the first one. So yeah. See how it goes.
Meanwhile, at the bottom, the hex wraith
about.
does actually also go into the prophetess. So we have a prophetess in combat, which is never what you want to see.
Mono a mono, yeah.
I do think she has 2 attacks and she has magical attacks though. So I think she had a chance to get at you. Because the model itself has magical attacks, which is cool.
Yeah, and all wizards tend to have 2 attacks being characters, even though you'd think they're a little bit feeble in combat. But
yeah. She's clearly a fighter.
Yeah, the single characters all decided to surround your men at arms and/or attempt to chaff the Grail Knights.
Continue to speed bump.
Yeah, rather than engage just yet. But they are all out of line of sight and ready to give you some problems. And indeed, you were right with your prediction there. Mainly because we were there and we saw what happened. It wasn't really a prediction, really. But yeah, got 1 wound off on the prophetess. But yeah, she did the job, and the hex race finally gone after like 4 turns of efforts from her. You know, mostly with magic, but finally she did it with a blunt sword that she'd kept on her side forever. Good job, girl. Syrienne, I think her name was.
Syrienne, yeah. Otherwise, the spirit hosts and with the Grail Relic sort of crumble a little bit, but not too much.
No.
And similarly on the right side, actually, as you see, your spirit host just not able to do much.
They just don't do any damage. Yeah, they just couldn't do any damage. I think they were all strength 3, and you were all toughness 3. So, and I think I was hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s, and there's just not that many attacks. So I think it's only three attacks each. I'm trying to remember the stats. So by the time you've only had like 12 attacks, 6 hit, 3 wound if you're lucky. Then there's got some armor. That's average. On average, you're only going to do 1 or 2 wounds.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was even doing average, but even if 1 or 2 wounds just isn't enough to get over the combat risk. So the spirit host was struggling against these ranked up units.
The scouts do lose some in number, but not in spirit, and continue on there. While I think the Lord does a decent amount of wounds to you to draw combat, from what I remember.
Skeletons go down easily to a magical baron, basically. Not a lot, not necessarily unexpected. And the Grails take their next speed bump challenge.
Yeah, let's see what they can do here going into this one. I was just trying to see whether Grail Knights have magical attacks at all. I don't know whether Grail Val gives them it.
Sure.
So
I don't think so. I don't recall.
They've had it in previous editions. I didn't know whether it was just like a thing.
Okay.
Yes, so the Grail Val gives them magical attacks. So the ethereal stuff was literally just a bit of chaff in the end. But they're only 50 points, so it makes sense to do that. My Prophetess moves. I'm not sure I've got a picture of that, but I've got a fireball onto these guys. So that's on the other unit. Now that she's taken one out in combat, she's feeling very
Yeah.
confident
It's
over
the
here.
anti-hex race show from her, really,
is,
isn't it?
yeah.
You know, she doesn't do it in like short amount of time,
No.
but she does kill them
Yeah.
slowly. So, yeah.
Reliable, but not speedy.
Yeah.
And this is what movement looked like and all said and done. There's not a great deal in the way of actual movement and things for me to do. I'm stuck in combat a lot of the times. This is actually after combat as well, where the Grails have moved forward.
Overrun.
I've crumbled your Spirit Host a little bit more on the left, and I think ever so slightly on the right. Just in time for your Hex Wraiths to come in on the next go.
And they'll need to avoid the magic that's going to be fired their way again. Yeah.
So Toby doesn't like that his friends are dying, so raises back 6 just to allow that to happen again. Why not? And I think this is I'm not sure what the 1/1 is. Whether that's his leadership or something.
No, I think Van Hell's when you cast it, I can't remember the exact wording, but you choose 2 stats and you roll a d3 for what they get. So I think I got 1 on both the stats I chose, which obviously is a bit unlucky. You obviously want +3/+3 for whatever 2 stats you choose.
Yeah.
And I got 1/1, which meant it didn't really have much of an effect. But that would be my prediction as to what the 1/1 meant.
Yeah.
And I'd pulled the trigger over here. Over the other side, it was a bit of traffic jam with everything, just like nothing could get through you. This side, I'd felt like I was building up to this. So the Hex Wraith go in to join the Spirit Host. 3 of the single characters charge into your Knight of the Realms on foot. And it was engage time, really, on that flank. See if I could do a bit more with weight of numbers. But the problem with weight of numbers is you had it and I didn't. And so crazy, but my single characters, again, they just don't do any damage.
Yeah,
like all of the Cairn Rays have 2 attacks each, I think. Again, low strength. And lost combat. All had to give ground, all took a wound from losing
I think
combat.
The only wounds you've seen there are from screams. Over the last couple of turns from the Tomb Banshees. So it was just crazy. You went in, did nothing, and in the end, I ended up winning by 1, which meant you crumbled 1, and you're all separate units. So it was like, what?
They all took 1 each. Yeah,
and of course
your unit was free.
Yeah, because they all gave ground.
I hadn't prepared for that.
Yeah, having the choice of not following up with ground just allows that little bit. And I weren't going to go into any one of them because it didn't matter too much. It meant I wouldn't need to get back into the fray. Yes, and it takes me on to my turn, and we have an opportunity here because in the last turn, obviously, you wanted to speed bump the Grails a little bit more, and that's fair enough. But in doing so, Toby got a little bit adventurous.
He did. He abandoned the zombies, thinking that the zombies could do the speed bumping without him, not thinking that the Knight of the Realm on foot would be free to charge.
Yes, and it's not a long charge. I think I only needed a 4 on one of the dice. I think it's like whatever. So there we go. The Grails go into the rear of the skeletons there to help out with combat res and all the attacks and stuff. And the Grail relics, they can fight zombies. Why not?
Yeah.
While
I'd run out of Ethereal stuff on that flank, really, because the Spirit Eyes just weren't doing the job.
Yeah, and old Prophetess is feeling confident against the ghosts. She's she's her own Ghostbuster.
Indeed. Yeah.
But
and
luckily for Toby, because he's so friendly, I think I rolled a 1 and a 2, just really bad on the charge. And they stumble forward, and he breathes he's only got 1 lung, but with that 1 lung, he breathed
or 2 halves.
A sigh of relief from Toby, the half zombie necromancer.
Just in case you're looking at this and thinking, well, Toby was on the other side of the forest, so could he be seen? the Knights of the Realm on foot were actually just in the forest themselves,
Yes.
so they could see out the other side in case you saw that and thought that Toby was actually safe for that reason. He wasn't
Yeah.
until the
Otherwise,
Knights of the Realm couldn't
yeah.
charge.
Otherwise, everyone makes it in, and we kind of just keep going, see what we can do with it, especially with old skirmisher girl on the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, looking good. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean now you carry on. Another fireball.
yes, another fireball goes off to take, I think, the last of the spirit hosts there. I think it kills one of the spirit hosts. And over here, we get into Linehammer. Now, I'm not actually sure. On hindsight, I'm not actually sure I could have done this. I think this was before we
Yeah, it's a
really
bit
knew the
wide, isn't it?
rules. Yeah, because you can add 5 to the front, can't you?
Yeah, yeah.
In any sort of reform or whatever. And I think that's because when my front goes, because what I do is I fall back in good order, I think,
You do,
or one
and
of
then
the
you
two.
reform. Yeah,
Then
yeah.
you reform. So I'm 6 wide there. I definitely obviously go more than that. So I think
Yeah.
we thought we could do this, and we saw no one, but I think on hindsight,
Yeah.
blimey. I think on hindsight that was too much of the Linehammer. I'm not sure you could have done that straight away. However, it was interesting to see how this would affect things.
Because it meant you
going
could
forward.
get some more attacks in on the skeletons, which is obviously stuff you can hit back.
Yeah,
whereas you couldn't touch the spirit host. So, yeah.
So we'll see if my cheating pays off. Oh. And as you can see, oh no, it didn't. It slowly whittled away at the ghosts, but not quite killing them there.
No.
However, if you do look in the centre, the Grail Knights are having a whale of a time.
They really did.
They're clearly becoming paladins of the D&D world and just slaying the undead.
Yeah,
there's
and
no
it spurred Baron von Baron on to start killing things with no regard for skeleton lives as well, didn't it, really?
Yeah.
He'd been just pacing himself, but as soon as he saw the Grail Knights charge in the rear, he was like, "Yep, I'm going to start killing stuff too."
Yeah, I was doing it all the time. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, exactly. Oh, you helped finish off the last couple.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Yeah. Into my turn to deal with the Linehammer. I charged an extra Khan Wraith in. Why not? What else was he going to do? He wasn't going to get involved in the Baron fight, that was for sure.
No, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was just a case of, and I didn't want to charge my single characters into that unit of Knight of the Realms on foot anymore either, because I charged 3 of them into various flanks and bounced, and they only had like another HP left each, so
yeah,
they
losing
weren't
by 1 went good enough. Yeah.
No, so they literally were just standing looking at you. I think one Banshee is screaming at you, but
yeah, you were doing more damage
2.
with the Banshees anyway from the screen,
Yeah.
so just continue doing that and chaff me with the zombies. There.
Yeah, and I think I cast Spectral Steed on Toby, and he got the heck out of there.
Yeah,
so he's all the way on the flank now because he wasn't really doing a lot anyway with his other spells. So
he's like, bye friends.
Yep, he was off.
Over here, my guys do destroy your zombies and carry on going. A very triumphant march there, while the skeletons in the middle die to the guys. It's my turn next as well, so I just sort of move so that I can charge things if I need to.
Yeah, and in terms of winning the objective for the scenario, all you need is to, be on that middle objective without me being on it. Or I think if you're on it, it doesn't matter if I'm on it.
Yeah, it doesn't. No, you need to not be on it attacking. But I mean, with my turn next and likely to have the Grails and the Baron free, there wasn't much that could get on there and actually do it. I think the Spirit Host try, but as you can see in a minute. So the Linehammer didn't work at all. So cheaters do not prosper, folks. This is life karma enacting itself, and yes, it didn't work. I did a few wounds, but I took way more back. I was within 2 inches of the side, and that was the end of that.
Yes.
Over here, Baron goes after the Spirit Host, threatening the objective. How dare you? And with the 360 line of sight, the prophetess just moves onto the hill so they can see all of those ghosts around it.
Yeah.
Managed to get Oaken Shield off, so she's got the ward save just in case. Again, it doesn't really matter from this point, but it might work for a miscast.
It would have mattered if she'd miscast herself, and killed herself. That would have been great.
Yeah. A fireball goes off over here on these guys.
Does its obligatory 1 wound, probably?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
No, well, it kills the 3.
Oh, this time it kills them. Yeah.
Yeah. So only took 2 fireballs there.
Charge that fireball.
And as you can see, next to the Baron, there are no ghosts anymore. And that, my friends, is that for a pretty fun battle, all told, and a different sort of style of things, and really interesting. The scenario really played its part.
It was. Yeah, I mean, some scenarios you kind of like just play out and then it becomes a normal battle. This was very much a scenario heavy one. Where the scenario dictated both my actions and also your counter actions, and then your actions and my counter actions in a weird way. We both had victories in some sense. Like I had a good victory over the men at arms eventually, but your other units just bossed whatever they came across. You know, couldn't really touch them, and I just found that the ghosts it's all very well fluff wise, and it is really really fun. They just didn't have any damage. They couldn't do any damage, you know?
Absolutely.
Maybe they would have fared better against stuff that didn't have static combat res. Like, this was very rank heavy, and
it was,
they didn't really go anywhere. The Joe Ghost just couldn't get through. It didn't matter that they didn't take wounds back. It was combat res that was killing them off. So
very much so.
Interesting.
And
but Toby got away with it.
Toby got away, and maybe lives or unlives to fight another day. I don't know. But in the end, with the increased battle victory points from the thing, it was indeed a crushing victory for the Bretonnians. And campaign-wise, if anybody is interested in that, they march on. And
they survived the ambush.
Thus endeth turn 1 of our campaign, and we will do a roundup video in the next few weeks to sum up everything, and for anybody interested in that. Obviously, if you're interested in going back at the end of this video, we'll put a link, and just click on that, and you can take a look at what we're doing.
About the campaign. And otherwise, if you're not interested in the campaign side of things, you can just enjoy these battles for what they are, because they're still all full up front old world battles. So
yeah, they are. Every scenario we have is taken from the book, or one of the books,
different books,
including arcane journals and things. So even though they're not the standard 6 array, they are all written down and stuff. So that's what we tried to do with it. So and they're all going to be roughly 2,000 points each. There might be the odd extra unit or something.
The occasional
like that.
demon. Yeah.
So you're just going to see themed lists from these campaigns, but don't worry. We have our regular battles as well coming, and we, in case you're like, I don't like fluffy lists. I like, I want to see the jank. Well,
the cheese. Yeah.
A dragon is coming up, so don't worry about that.
It certainly is.
Otherwise, so obviously the best way is to like, share, subscribe. Put your comments down. We're really enjoying answering the comments to things, and if you've got any tactics or stories you want to share, please do that there. Otherwise, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and our Patreon, actually, where we've a few weeks ago now, actually, but put out a Patreon message to see what we want to do for next turn and stuff. So
campaign wise, you can get involved if you want to. Just join up with our Patreon and support us. Everything goes into the channel, and we would love you even more than normal if you did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we've used Warhol for this battle report and battle. Go and check it out. It's a good way of playing. If you're not face to face, obviously models are always better. But if you're playing someone in a different country or a different time zone, then Warhol's a very good tool to use. But that's endeth our battle report today. And and turn 1 for the campaign and stuff like that. More to come. But until then, everybody, see you later.